Hello, everyone. My name is Jason W. Tapscott. I'm an author. Please check out my books. This is a new video on the channel entitled A Thought in Progress. Subtitled I Have Something to Say. Um, I come to this moment very afraid to even share. I know I've been looking at Facebook and people posting and people just hating people's opinions, and seems to be a lot of contention right now. Um, so I'll start off by saying thank you everyone for sharing your views. Um, even as it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there, especially right now. Um, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of misunderstanding, big misunderstandings between groups of people, and that's boiling over into hate, anger, and violence, and rage. And I'm not discounting any of that. They're all valid feelings. Um, but I think we need to find better ways to disagree and be productive when we disagree, um, and find ways to coexist. And that's maybe a weird word to use, but you've got to learn to coexist with yourself first, and then hopefully you can extend that to your neighbor, whether they agree with you or not. Um, we need to find, because really, uh, we're interconnected. To use a Buddhist phrase, and it's not even really Buddhist. It's just a truth. We're interconnected. What happens to my neighbor is going to inexorably affect me. Um, so we really need to take some time to really examine ourselves and some of our biases, or what we understand to be true, which may not be true, or how we relate to one another, especially right now. Um, we're at a time where we're dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, states are reopening. It should lift eventually, but we're not going to return to the normal that we were used to from before. It's not going to happen. And really, that's no different than whether or not there had been a pandemic or not. Um, each day we progress as a civilization, as a species, as a global community, as a planet, to onto something new each moment, right? And if we can understand, or at least recognize that potential truth that things change, maybe we can be a little more optimistic about the future. Maybe we can be a little more optimistic in general, because I think if we can't hope, we can't solve our problems as a people. And when I say as a people, I mean mankind, right? Let's not lose, let's work together to not leave people behind. Let's work together to not leave people out. Inclusivity is a big thing in the mental illness community. I have a mental health condition. I work as a CPS, so I'm a certified peer specialist. Before I've said, I'm a professional crazy person. I don't know if those words, with everybody being so sensitive, I don't know if I should even say those words anymore. Um, it seems like it's really hard to know what to say anymore. It's really hard to know what to say that's safe. So I guess the best thing we could do is be extra careful, and um, try not. It's not about sparing people's feelings. It's about making people feel welcome in your presence. So it's a self thing. It's a self-centered thing, if you want to call it that. And what I mean by that is, if I can feel comfortable in my own skin, perhaps I can extend that comfort to my neighbor, regardless of whether or not we disagree on some fundamental aspects of existence. Because it's come to that. Really, it has. And if I can inhabit the same reality with my neighbor while not agreeing on some of the aspects of what they think is reality, that's what we need to do. It's not an easy thing, but if we truly take a moment to respond instead of react, to really try to understand the other person's point of view, to not put our own view out there as the only truth, to recognize our own um, ability to misunderstand, to recognize our own fallibility, to recognize our own process of growth as we take each day at a time. And maybe at this moment in time, I make a mistake, you know, or but if we allow ourselves to make mistakes and allow our neighbors to make mistakes, seeing that if I maybe I can help them out in the time of their mistake, maybe I can recognize that they're on a path, that they're a work in progress, then I can give them a hand up to become the masterpiece that they were meant to be, and in so doing, enrich my own experience. Um, Now I want to switch gears a little bit, and I'm not going to talk. I'm just not going to go that much longer, and I hope that was helpful. Um, I'm not going to apologize. We don't need to apologize for our views, but we do need to re-examine them in the context of sharing them with other people. Um, yes, we should be unapologetically ourselves, right? I've used that phrase before, and I do believe that, but that doesn't mean it's okay to intentionally hurt people. It doesn't mean it's okay to uh, um, act without thinking or speak without thinking. Um, there's an acronym that I think is very helpful. Um, WAIT, WAIT. And if before you speak, really think about it. The WAIT stands for why am I talking? So really examine your intentions before you act, think, do, say something, right? Really examine your intentions because, okay, here's an example. And this actually happened. There were three African American kids outside of my apartment complex. I was walking to the store. And they're very polite. They asked me, do you have $1? And there were three of them. So they said, do you have $3? And at first I was like, well, no, not really. I don't have that money. And I examined myself and I thought, you know what? How 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 can how can in this moment how can I honor the life of George Floyd? And and I realized that the best thing I can do right now, because these kids were being so polite and they had smiles on their faces and they're just adorable little kids. So I stopped myself and I said, you know what? I think I do have $3. And I took the $3 out of my bulky pocket, my bulky new wallet, okay? And I took those $3 out and I handed each one of them $1. And I could tell they it brightened their day. They ran off. I don't know what they were going to spend money on. Maybe some ice cream. It was hot outside the other day, you know. But it buoyed my spirits. I felt good. I felt really, really good. And I examined it and I examined it and I said, you know what? That was a good deed. That was a good deed. And maybe you can find some way to take offense to that. I don't know. It's just the world we live in today, you know. There's always some reason to take offense to things. Um, you know, it feels like people try to find reasons to be offended, and I don't entirely understand that, why you would find reasons to be angry. Um, Someone somewhere may find some injustice in me giving three kids $1 each. I don't know. Um, we really need to examine where we're at. Um, and it's not a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's a human thing. It's a human thing. Um, and Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." And someone asked him, "Who is your neighbor?" Guess what? Everyone on this planet is your neighbor. Please try to do better. Wherever you're at, whether you're in a position of power, whether you're in a position of privilege, whether you're in a position of being oppressed, try to include everyone on the planet as your neighbor and love them. And we're going to disagree. We're going to disagree. But nearly every religion has some form of the golden rule, which is what loving your neighbor as yourself is, really. You know, some form of that. And it's not even about an ethics thing. It's about survival at this point. If my neighbor can't survive, I can't survive. Interconnectedness. Okay? All right? So, I said my piece. I know someone may disagree with it. And you know what? That neither of us are correct. Disagreement is a gift because it helps us grow. It helps us re examine ourselves, the people around us. And if we can't disagree, I think that's probably detrimental to our evolution as a species. You know, there's numerous scientific um, there's lots of scientific evidence that diversity can help us come up with creative solutions, such as pandemics, such as climate change. You know, so how can we coexist with people, and how can we disagree in a productive, respectful way that moves us onwards instead of backwards? And I'll stop talking. Um, so hopefully that was helpful. Buy my books. Check out my Facebook page. There's a lot of good poetry on there. Um, and thank you so much for watching. Please remember to respect your neighbor.